gonna put the seat back in. Look at this thing, how is this even a seat? We're gonna have to weld 2 brackets. Jesus Christ. I'm really worried. Today's been one of those days. What the hell? This was actually a car. People actually drove around in these things. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. Today is a potential, hopeful, special day. My plan for today is to drive this car for the very first time. We've got a couple of things left to do, and then we're literally going to start and try and drive it. I've started in the afternoon because I only want to be driving this car outside when there's no other cars. So I'm going to hopefully drive this around 5 or 6 o'clock when everyone's left the car park outside the unit, because I don't know if you realise, but this is potentially quite dangerous, I'm not going to lie. So I'm a little bit worried about today. But first of all, let's crack on with the jobs that we've got to get done, and then let's drive this bloody car. First thing we've got to do is we've got to put the brake line on the front, and it hasn't arrived. But there are still 4 spaces left for True Rally.
True Rally is a driving holiday for true car enthusiasts. We have 40 to 50 modified car owners all going on a rally all together. In April, we're heading to the Nürburgring. Everything is included. Your ferry, you've got trackside hotel rooms with balcony looking over the track, all your breakfast, all your dinner, all your activities, your Nürburgring lap, free photography, your nightlife, your vehicle graphics, and you'll get a full GPS route that you can download going through the best roads in Europe getting there. Every fuel stop, toilet stop, photo location will be marked on the map, and you'll never get lost. And you'll be following a convoy of up to 30 modified cars. Head over to truerally.co.uk to see what you get for the price. The brake line was a little bit tricky because there's no kind of indents on the actual brake bracket. Normally you can push the brake line in there and that holds the brake line, and then you can just tighten one end. But unfortunately I had to use a spanner on both sides. It was really hard to get access to one of them, but nonetheless we got it on. Okay, so the brake line's on there. The threads were really long for some reason, but I'm pretty sure I got for the right car. But they're threaded in anyway. It's threaded in there to the brake line from the cylinder. It's threaded in here to the brake line to the drum. Now, one thing I am worried about, as you can see, well, where is it? Look at this horrible brake bleed nipple. So I'm going to try and crack that off. I think it's best if I get some WD around it, then clean it off with a wire wheel. And then we're definitely going to crack it off using a 6-point socket, not a spanner first, and then go on to the spanner. But the brake lines are in. But first of all, we're going to install our custom coilovers from Gaz Shocks. Buzzing about this. You see in the last video we actually went and collected them from Gaz. So let's get them unboxed. Let's show you what they've made. Custom for the Reliant, so anybody needs any coilovers or weird cars like this, Gaz Shocks, they make everything in-house. They're specialist engineers and they can make any coilover for absolutely anything. They made the shocks for the Grand Tour, if you remember that episode where they went off-roading in the Bentley. They do everything. Drop them a message, but let's get ours unboxed. Let's install them. So obviously the back of the Reliant is on leaf springs, so we've got some shocks here which are heavy duty shocks, and here is my front coilover. Now I asked them specifically to put a really heavy duty spring on because this is what the Reliant guys have told me, which helps stopping the car from rolling over. So here is the front suspension that we've got, fully adjustable. We've got 200 kg spring on there, I believe it's 200 kg. These were custom built for me, for the Reliant, so let's get them on the car. And we also have adjustable dampening too on the bottom, so we're going to put it super stiff because we don't want this thing rolling over. The shocks are super simple. There's literally just a bolt at the bottom and a bolt at the top, and they just go through 2 bushes, and that is their rear shock. Because obviously the actual suspension side of things is done by this leaf spring. Half the nuts and bolts on this car are either Imperial or they're fucked. So I'm just using a vice grip because there's no point even trying to get a socket on them, trust me. It smells quite fuely under here. I'm starting to wonder if the washers actually weren't fuel rated. I don't even know why I'm around trying to get these prehistoric bolts off. So it's just 2 nuts and bolts on the back and the rear shock is on. Now the front shock is very similar, it's just a loop and a loop again. So we've got to take this bolt off here at the bottom, and then at the top there's another loop just up the top there. And again, these bolts don't seem good, so I'm probably going to have to replace these ones as well. I'm not going to lie,
This front one has been an absolute bitch. Just one of the bolts, I don't know how, it's a 19mm, but it's rounded. How the hell is it rounded? The nut's fine, which is weird, but the bolt head isn't, which is usually the opposite way around. And the only thing is, I've really hurt my back somehow, so it's really hard to breathe. It's like someone's stabbed through my lungs or something. And it's just even more annoying because it's just it's hurting even more. Try to get the top bolt off. The thing is, there's hardly any room on the other side to whack a smaller socket on, so I don't know what the hell I'm going to do, but I just want to drive the damn thing, man. Keep working on these fucking rusty old 1980s fucking shit boxes. Okay, I used the 6.19 on the bolt, and it's coming off. Not you, E30. You're not rusty at all, and actually you're really nice to work on. I can't say the same for this thing though. Galvanised chassis, we'll never rust. We didn't galvanise your f***ing bolts, did you bell ends? I've put the jack stand on the shot on the arm, so I can't get it down to get the shock out of. Will I have a? Oh, look at that thing. Look at the difference here, boys. Beautiful. We're not reusing these bolts, I'll tell you that for free. Gaz coilovers on Reliant. Go on, Gaz. Go on, the boys. I'd rather use metric ones because everything on this is Imperial. The suspension's on. That was honestly such a joke. Such a joke. Honestly, I can't believe how hard that was. Really took a lot of motivation out of me, that did. I had to run next door, get bolts, come back, get nuts, come back, get me fucking back and forth next door to get different bolts and all that bullshit. Now, interesting enough, there's only one bleed for the back, so it goes into one drum, through that drum, and then it splits off to this drum, and then it gets bled from here. So there's only one bleed nipple on the back, which is very interesting. But the next game is to see if we can get these bleed nipples off. I'm really worried. Today's been one of those days, and I'm getting really pissed off. Right, let's try and crack the front one, and then we'll bleed the brakes. Then we've got to put the seat in still, and we've still got to do the throttle cable still. Forgot about that. I want to drive today, but everything's taking ages. Right, we're good. Right, they're both cracked. I'm going to take the nipple fully out and then hope that that pushes all the air out. So let's take the nipple fully off. Let's get some cardboard so it don't go everywhere. Alright, so brake fluid's coming through now, which is good. Let's just take it off anyway. And let's just give it a few pumps.
So once to show that all the air is out and the fluid is actually coming from the brakes, we're going to pressure bleed it all the way around.
Okay, so we've got a brake pedal now, which is good. I'm not really in a good mood today. I don't really know why. Everything's just going wrong. I'm just hurting myself and I'm getting really annoyed. We've literally got 2 more things to do before we can drive it. First of all, we've got to bolt a seat in. We're just going to use the original seat. Probably not going to keep that seat for long, but I know you guys want to see the first drive, and I'm not the kind of guy to just perfect everything before we do the first drive. Let's go drive it, see what he's doing, and then fix those little fucking bits and bobs. One important thing we're going to do, if you remember in the last episode, we actually revved it with the cable. We made shift a throttle cable, and it felt terrible. And not only did it feel terrible, it was actually quite dangerous as well, because what I found what it was doing was when I'd come off throttle, it'd still stick, so it'd still keep revving a little bit even though I came off throttle. And that's okay if we're just revving it in neutral, but if we're driving and it's doing that, it potentially could be quite dangerous. So I've just started pulling the throttle cable out here, and I've ordered the universal one, which we're going to make ourselves. So let's get that done. Right, so here's the throttle cable kit which I bought off eBay. It's actually a motorcycle cable, which is fit for this purpose, but we've also got one for the LS400 as well. So you get the cable, you get the outer cable, and you get a load of fittings as well. Now we are actually going to have to probably use, the hardest thing is going to be finding out how to mount this to the original fitting inside the Reliant, but I'm pretty sure we'll be able to use this
Now we're going to have to definitely use the fitting off the bike end because that's a special kind of clamp.
Oh, these are the two ends. This is the cable. This comes with a bit soldered on the end and this bit doesn't. So first of all, this bit is going to be in the Reliant. So we're going to choose one of the fittings in the kit, which is similar to that. So we'll go with this one. I think that'll be fine. So what we're going to do is, going to push this through all the way to the end there, and that is what's going to go in our Reliant cable. So we're just going to make sure that actually fits, which it does. Now we need a stopper, which is going to reenact as this. So this is from the Reliant, and that goes in the bracket, and it pulls the cable like this. So it's going to stop the main cable. So we're going to get rid of that, and we're going to use this instead. This is going to work just fine. So again, we're going to slide this on this way from the other end. That's going to be our cable stopper. So we're going to bolt it there, and it's going to be able to pull like that. Right, so now that side of the cable is sorted. We're going to slide the main cable in, and that's going to sit on there like that. Comprende? So this is going to sit in the throttle side of the Reliant, and then we're going to that will bolt this up tight. That's going to be the stopper, and that's going to pull. So that's that side sorted. The other side is where it gets a bit more complicated because they haven't give us what I thought they would give us in the kit.
As you can see, this is how that's going to work. So we've got the stopper, the cable goes through, and the cable goes on there, the stopper, and the cable pushes in there. That's how it works. You might have to, obviously, every application is going to be different. I had to put this on first and then thread the cable through that way, just so obviously it would, you know, work. But that's that. So now we've got to turn the attention to, if I can get this in here, to the other side. Now we've got to cut the outer cable to length. So that's the cable fully tight. Now the outer cable we want touching this thing, we're going to have to reuse this. Because it's such a unique thing, we're going to have to reuse this, and that sits in there. So we're going to have to cut the cable to length. I'm going to give it a little bit of slack first of all, just so we can cut it down and we don't go too far. So we're going to go there, but don't cut it with the inner cable in. Make sure you pull this away. So I'm going to try and use this end here, because that should give us an adjustable end. So if we screw this onto the end of the cable, our bike end sits in there nice, and then we can actually adjust this as well and bring the cable closer or further away. So let's just set it on further away first. Just feed the cable through, feed the cable through this thing here. Now if the kit come with what I wanted it to come with, and it's just like this little end, I'll put a picture on the screen now, you push it over, tighten the grub screw, and that's it, done. Push it into the cable and that's it, done. It's not come with those, so now we've got a bit of an issue and we're going to have to try to make something work. I went to Evans Cycles last night, a bike shop, and they said they didn't have any. They gave me a bunch of things which I could possibly make work, and I've got them back, and I don't think any of them's going to work. So we might have to just rely on soldering it, but I'm worried because when you're trying to put heat into it, these cables just don't like heat. And if we break the cable, I'm going to be really annoyed. I was hoping that this thing would work. So as you can see, it's almost like one of those things that I need just without the hole. What we could have drilled a hole in, because it's got a thread down the middle as well. So that would have been perfect. Drill a hole for the middle, put the cable through, put a bolt through, that's tighten the cable. But this is just too thick to go through the throttle body on the bike, so this isn't going to work. The most annoying thing in the world has happened, right? We've got solder out, you got the blowtorch out, we're trying to measure it up, we're trying to hold it in place. I'm like, oh, this is difficult. He goes, I've got something that'll help you hold it in place. And he brings out exactly what I need. This is exactly what I need. For God's sake. Oh my God, you've had one all along.
Yeah, I've got about 10 of them.
Oh, hey, alright, we don't have to solder anything then, because I just put that through and tighten it. Boom, that's it, done, right? There we go.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Oh, for God's sake! Where have you got them from?
Oh, I've got about, I keep spare ones whenever I can.
God, these were so hard to... So all I'll do is tighten that down, and then that's it, that's my cable end done.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you've got some. Wow, thank God.
Right.
Right, cheers, you bought some. See you later. Not you, him. And then this clamps on like that, and then we're going to chop the excess cable off, and then we're going to put it in the end, and that should be our cable. It should feel 10 times better.
So this is the cable set up now. As you can see, it's in there, properly in. And it feels 10 times better. I can't even begin to explain how better that feels. Unfortunately, I can't take it for a drive tonight or in this video because everyone's gone home, it's late at night. This has just took way too long today and all the cars pulled into the unit, so I can't even get it out. But there's one thing we've got to do, and this is quite a ceremonial moment. We're gonna put the seat back in. Look at this thing. How is this even a seat? How is it even bolt to the floor? So there's literally like, well, I assume this was one of the brackets. There's none on that side, and there's none on this one either. Did this car come with seats? Were the seats bolted in when I got this car? Because I don't know where the hell they're meant to go. Because they surely can't sit here. Because if it goes that far forward, you can't. If it goes that far forward, you can't even bloody get in it. I'm sorry, there's no way that that's the seating position. Like, you're meant to be sitting back here. But what the... This is where we want to be sitting. Even then, it's a bit too close. But that's how we... But then we... Can you hear it? Oh my gosh, this is so dangerous. I don't think it did have the seats in it, did it? We're gonna have to make more shit. Oh my god, I'm sick of making things. We're gonna have to make our own little brackets and just bolt. We're gonna have to weld 2 brackets. Jesus Christ. I have absolutely no idea how these seats are bolted in from factory. I kind of have an idea. I'll have a look on YouTube, and here is one of the runners for the seats. Okay, so I'm guessing when we pulled the carpet out, this just came out with it. It's pulled the floor away with it. So that's how not strong these seats are bolted. Look, there's the actual floor. So we've ripped the carpet out, and it's pulled the floor with it. What the hell? The floor. So this is one of the seat runners. As you can see, it's rotten beyond belief. So I think we're just gonna have to just make our own mounts. I think that's I actually think that's the safest thing to do. So this is as far back as the seat can go. As you see, we're literally almost falling off the edge there. This is where it's gonna have to go. So I found this little bracket. So what we can do is we can just weld that to there, and then we can bolt that through. So that's one done. Then we're gonna have to just make a few plates for the front as well. Weld the plates to the front of there, then just bolt them through the car. But we're going to be sitting a bit bloody close. But like, I haven't really got any other option, to be honest. I mean, it's not ideal, but it's definitely safer. It's definitely safer than hanging off. But I'm not even that tall. This is, what the hell? This was actually a car. People actually drove around in these things. This is terrifyingly dangerous. So it's getting late, so without further ado, let's just make some brackets and weld some seat mounts onto the seat. Right, here's the new seat. Got some plates welded on. It's quite hard to weld because this was really thin, so it kept blowing through, so I had to keep bridging it. We've got a plate at the front, a couple of plates at the front, so I've just drilled 2 holes, bang, bang. Bang, I should have made this one a bit longer actually, I didn't think like that, but anyway, we get a bolt there, it's fine. And this one down here as well, so that's our 4 things. All we've got to do is put it in the car, drill some holes, bolt it through, bada bing, bada boom. All I did was just drill 4 holes to the floor and just put 4 big M10 bolts with washers. The original seat brackets were actually riveted in, so this is 10 times stronger than it was, and at the end of the day, it's bloody fiberglass. It's only going to be as strong as the fiberglass, which isn't strong. And that is it. We finally got the car ready to drive, and I promise you this time, I promise you, in the next episode, we're going to be taking it out and we're going to be taking it for its first drive. So I can't wait. I love you all, and we'll see you in the next one.